Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Thread podcast. And boy, is it nice outside.
It's a touch of spring, January 4th, the 11th of Tavis.
You have that good meteorologist voice.
It's the 11th of Tavis.
Yes, it is.
Yesterday was the 10th of Tavis.
I know what comes after 10.
People are going to be able to know up until the 18th and 19th, they're going to start losing track of what the Hebrew date is. Although, you know what, I meet people all the time that I say to them, I'm gonna do that on January 16th. Actually, there's a guy in Israel that I talk to. I'm going to do that such and such on January 16th. He goes, January 16th? Whoa, what's the Hebrew date?
Well, Chabad, the Hasidim, they Bedavka go by...
They date checks in Hebrew.
They only go by Hebrew calendar.
Could you date your checks in Hebrew and the bank will take it? Can you imagine across the street in the Chase Bank saying,
11th
what's
of
that?
Tavis.
What's this dated for? Ches Tavis? I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know.
Bank.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to post-date checks.
Yud Beis? Yud Beis is tomorrow. What are you doing?
Anyways, the highest temperature ever on January...
It's January 4th.
It's January 4th, so I see January 1st and 2nd and 3rd. January 4th, the high that we've ever had, I believe... was 73 degrees in 2004.
Okay,
not so.
Can I say that's not so long ago?
That's not so. That isn't so long ago. 1971 is a while ago.
If it was after you were born, which means you were 9 years old in 2004, I think. So, listen, this is what they call Indian summer. What do they call Indian summer?
I don't know,
and
I just hope it's not racist.
No, nothing is racist. Everything is racist.
That's true. That's what we've learned. Yes.
Yeah, anybody can spin anything into being prejudicial, racist, misogynistic.
What's an Indian summer?
I don't know. Look it up. What's an Indian
summer? You don't know?
No, Indian summer is like when it gets warm in the middle of the winter. For some reason, it's called Indian summer.
Interesting. Well, the lowest temperature for January 4th.
I think it's probably like a prejudice type of thing.
What do you think the lowest number is?
Oh, I don't know. 0?
No, believe it or not, I think it's 8 degrees.
8 degrees. Wow. We haven't had that kind of winter. I know. The weekend I was in Eretz Yisrael.
A few days ago it was pretty cold.
Shabbos Hanukkah was pretty cold here, I understand.
Yes, it was.
I heard that. And the flooding was crazy,
Yeah, well, we spoke about the flooding a little bit. But anyways, coming up on Yeshiva Darchei Torah's 50th anniversary.
Yes.
That's the Yovel. It's the Yovel year.
Well, I've been attached to Yeshiva Darchei Torah for many, many years, since you guys went there in elementary school.
Since you moved to the Five Towns.
Since you moved there.
You had a whole life before I was born.
Which is 30 years, We're living here 30 years. And February 1st this year will be 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And you guys, not you weren't born yet, but your older brothers went to Darchei Torah.
I was on the second shift.
But I was talking to Rabbi Yaakov Bender, who is the leader, the head of the school for the last 40-plus years, on Sunday. And you'll see the article in the Five Towns Jewish Times this week. It's called Darchei at 50. Darchei at 50. And because Rabbi Bender is there 40-plus years. And I after I finished talking to him and to a couple of other people on the board, Lloyd Kilson, Ronnie Lowinger, I was thinking to myself, it's so different being a parent in a school and dealing with the issues that come with being a parent in the school. How my kid is doing, which class is he in, where is he sitting, how's he getting along with the Rebbe, how's the Rebbe getting along with him. That's completely different than once you look inside what's going on in a school.
A yeshiva specifically.
No, first of all, a yeshiva of this size, 2,600 students.
Really?
Okay, 2,600 students from preschool through the kollel years. Just remarkable things going on there. And I don't want to go through the whole article now, but hopefully people will pick up the paper and read
please,
it.
Tell us. I mean,
or read it online.
You spoke to Rabbi Bender for this article?
Well, yeah. We talked to him about how did the Iranian Revolution, the fall of the Shah, and the rise of the Ayatollahs in Iran impact Far Rockaway and Yeshiva Darchei Torah? How did the fall of communism, and the emigration of Soviet Jews, how did that impact Darchei Torah? It did. How? He had to make room for some kids. Once the Shah fell and the Ayatollah came into Iran, Jews escaped from Iran, and a lot went to Eretz Yisrael. A lot had relatives in New York. They came to New York. Mm-hmm. Got a great neck today. It looks like little Tehran. Many of them are immigrants who came in around 1980. Right. Around 1980, the Iranian Revolution. X amount came to this area and had to put the kids in the yeshiva. So Rabbi Bender had to make room, not just physical room, but he had to have a cultural understanding of where the people are coming from and what they need.
I saw a story online from Dovi Safir, who is he's an alumnus of Yeshiva Darchei Torah. He's a grandson of Zev Wolfson, and he's a contributor of Mishpacha magazine. And he said that after the Iron Curtain fell, a lot of the Russians came to America,
right,
and many of them were going to Darchei Torah and Farakwe.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of kids in the class who maybe they didn't speak English or they didn't really have a way of communicating with the rest of the boys.
Mm-hmm.
And Rabbi Bender came in and he said, what do you guys usually play by recess? And they say, we play basketball, football. He said, today you're playing soccer.
Yeah.
Today you're playing soccer. And he knew that that's a way that the boys who grew up in Farakwe are going to connect with the boys who are coming from Russia.
Right.
And that's tremendous. That's tremendous chinuch.
There's a lot going on there, and I asked Rabbi Bender to, if you could sum up for me, what his goal was for the last 40 years. I think he's there 43 years, actually, 44 years. How do you sum up what you aim to accomplish and what you accomplished?
Yeah,
he said a yeshiva that focuses and emphasizes incredible chesed. And his 20. You know what?
Darchei really trailblazed the path of taking in Bachrim that have special needs, that are either handicapped physically,
absolutely,
or need resource and help.
He doesn't mind me speaking about it because I wrote about it. Ronnie Lowinger, who's the president of Yeshiva Darchei Torah, who when we came here, there was no Darchei didn't have a high school.
Yochanan
was the first. He was
the first graduating high school class.
Chaim Shlomo, named for Chaim Shlomo Lowinger, an autistic young man who today is 41 years old. And Ronnie Lowinger shared with me that he had this kid, 9 years old. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't find the right place.
No place would accept.
Yeah, there were
have to go to public school.
There were programs for kids that were dealing with autism, but he didn't think they were being treated properly. He didn't think the kid was getting what he needed to get.
Any from parent raising a from family, they want their kid in a Torah environment. Maybe they don't want them.
And then he said I think he was in Brooklyn, in Borough Park. He saw a flyer for something in Simcha Day Camp. The day camp, something for special needs children. And he saw the flyer, and he brought his kid out to Far Rockaway. And he went into the way he describes it in the vestibule, in the hallway of Yeshiva Darchei Torah. And he met Rabbi Bender, and he told him he wants to enroll him in the summer program. And then he told him that he doesn't know what he could do with him the rest of the year. And Rabbi Bender said, we'll take him. We'll take him in. And it's life-changing for a family.
It really is.
Life-changing for a young man. It's life-changing for a family. It's life-changing for an entire community.
Exactly, and beyond community, for your entire Klal Yisrael, because, many other from communities around the world, they strive to do what Rabbi Bender has done in Farakwe. They strive to do in their communities. Well, that applies to YSV in Muncie. It applies to, Ner Yisrael or Darchei Torah in Toronto. It applies to every yeshiva. They're trying to follow his lead.
So I also spoke to Joel Kaplan, who's the executive director.
Yeah.
And really, you want to know what's going on educationally and conceptually and philosophically, you speak to Rabbi Bender. If you want to know how the place works, not just day to day, but minute to minute, you speak to Joel Kaplan. You find out what's really going on there. Rabbi Bender told me, I didn't send him questions. He has 2,600 students there. He has 24 kids that lost their parents, that have a one-parent home.
Recently or in total?
Right now, there's 24 students that either lost a mother or a father. Okay. And then he told me that he has X amount of, I forgot how many, he told me X amount of kids that come from divorce homes, a home where it's divorce. And they have different challenges,
I think
you have to be on the lookout for.
Something I noticed in elementary school in Darchei is that Rabbi Bender always had an affinity towards the kids who grew up in a home where they were a Yassam, because he himself was a Yassam.
His father passed away when he was very young.
And we have an episode of Meaningful People that we do with Rabbi Bender, and I think it's time to do another one, to be honest, especially.
Maybe you should coincide with the 50th anniversary.
Maybe we should.
It's there's no reason. I'm sure that he has certainly you had him on for an hour probably.
It's funny.
He's got much more to say than just 1 hour.
His granddaughter got engaged in the middle of the episode, so I feel like once he got the text that she's engaged, like we kind of had to like rush.
He wanted to get out.
I mean, like that's a little more important.
Yeah. Anyway, it's I was a parent there for many years, like I started to say, and
now you're a grandparent there.
Now I'm a grandparent there, and some of the information, some of the complaints trickle down about this one doesn't like this class or that seat or this seat, and these are things that you have to.
These are like small potatoes compared to.
But these are things that a parent has to deal with. But that's only one side of a school. There's so much more going on, and I'm not saying that. Yeah, of course, you have to look out for your child as job number one. But if you have the ability to take a step back and view what's going on a larger level, you see things a little differently sometimes.
100%. And one thing I recall when I was in 8th grade in Darchei, my seat was by the window, and they were currently knocking down the old building and starting to build the new one. And let me just tell you, I did not learn a darn thing in 8th grade because my head was just. I maybe learned how to build a building because I was fixed on them knocking down this place where I was there my entire elementary school in that building that they were knocking down.
I wasn't. I don't know. I was a good, well-behaved student in elementary school.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you that I used to sit by the window.
Oh,
and I used to keep there was a bus stop right outside the school.
Outside the window. Stats?
I used to write down the numbers of the bus.
Why?
I wanted to know how long it took them to take the whole route and come back again.
But that is, I don't know why I've never heard that until now.
I didn't think of it in a very long time.
Stories like that.
It was like bus 722, okay? And I would look at my watch, 11 a.m., and like about 1:30 p.m., bus 722 would come back again. And I wanted to know, was that the same driver? Did they change shifts? I was doing a research project.
Let me tell you something.
On mass transportation.
That's why people refer to you as a national treasure. That's why the Daily Fan. They say protect your father at all costs. Did you think you were going to work for the MTA?
No.
Were you concerned about the?
I was curious. Listen, I was sitting in class. I had nothing to do, so
God forbid. I
didn't have a phone. It wasn't invented yet. There was no smart board.
Yeah.
It was just a dumb board with chalk and an eraser.
Oh yeah, chalk.
Yeah, chalk and an eraser, and the window was there. So I looked out the window.
There's nothing else more interesting going on.
Can you imagine if there was no window?
Yeah, maybe you'd count the bricks.
I might have gone insane.
Yeah, maybe. Listen, my last point I want to make about Darchei. I'm curious. You've been a journalist for a very long time. I'm hoping you asked Rabbi Bender, what the biggest challenge has been over the last 50 years. So I'm curious if it may have been COVID. With the students coming from Iran, Russia.
You know what?
COVID might be the biggest challenge.
Yeah, we really didn't talk about COVID. I got to tell you, they'll have to do that in a follow-up article. But
maybe I'll.
You read the article. It's about 1,700 words. It's not too long and not too short.
How long does it take to read 1,700 words? Do you time that?
It depends what kind of reader you are. It depends when you're reading it. If you
by the way, I really like this. Some websites they have articles and it tells you
how the word
it tells you how long it'll take you to read this.
Depends. If you read it Friday night after you had like chicken soup and matzo ball.
Oh my gosh!
You're not reading the whole.
There's
You'll be asleep by the third paragraph.
There's one column that I read.
Cholent Shabbos. You try to read afterwards. A couple of lines and you're out.
There's one column that I read that I start it and it happens every week to me on Friday night. I start reading, and I fall asleep when I get to the second page of the article every single time. And every week I'm like, I'm going to get through the whole article this week. And I just never, I don't know, what reading just knocks me out.
I know, especially, I can't say to you when you get older, but I don't know, it depends what you eat.
Yeah. The Rambam diet says that you shouldn't eat meat like past a certain time because it doesn't this really, you're taking a real twist here, but I believe I heard from Rabbi Jonathan Rietti in a speech that the Rambam diet says that your body needs like 6 hours to break down.
Diet, right? It's not like you said died.
No, diet.
Diet.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't say diet. I say passed away, but diet.
Diet.
Okay. Like my phone is passing away right now.
Right. Oh, really? How about mine? Let me see what's going on mine. Okay, I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
Guys, whoever's listening, like the second my father touches his phone, see you later. Anyways, it takes your body like 6 hours like to to break down meat. So if you think you're going to eat meat and then go to sleep, your body's not actually getting a good rest. That's why you could get like 12 hours of sleep on Friday night and you wake up and you're still exhausted. It's because your body didn't actually rest. Anyways, let's go to our...
Let me tell you something about that. Before
please.
Okay? I have a friend who's a cardiologist. He lives in Florida. And I used to practice here, Dr. Michael Chesner.
Okay.
And he told me many years ago, people think that Shabbos, you come home from shul, you have like Kiddush in shul, you have a little whiskey, a little scotch, a little bourbon, you have some cholent, some kugel, and that kind of like makes your eyelids heavy and you're going to fall asleep and you're going to sleep 2 or 3 hours on Shabbos afternoon. Today is what? Today's Wednesday. You can't go to sleep this afternoon.
It's because of what you eat.
No? He told me, but why? He told me that, for example, cholent has ingredients, beans and potatoes, very high in carbohydrates. And carbohydrates releases extra insulin into the body, which makes you drowsy. That puts you to sleep. So you're scientifically, inducing sleep. It's not magic. It's not
that
would
explain why it happens also on Yontif, where that comes out on a Tuesday.
Or how about when it's Sunday night, it's Yontif, and you're exhausted. Shabbos just ended, 24 hours ago, and it's Friday night, you can't wait, and Sunday night, you can't wait to go to sleep because you're exhausted.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's next?
It's interesting, the whole sleep cycle discussion, because as a kid, I'm sure your sleep pattern changed from then to now. Like, you wake up at 5 a.m. now, sometimes earlier.
Right now, I'm jet lagged still from Israel.
Are you serious?
So,
you got back a while ago.
I got back a week ago. 1 week ago this morning.
I think that you're stuck forever now.
No, I don't know.
I think this is your new life. I think you should get used to it.
I don't want to bore people with my sleeping pattern, but it's. But you know what?
I yearn for the day that I'll wake up early.
I had grandparents, and my mother's parents.
So did I.
And my mother's parents, my grandfather, he had trouble sleeping. And one of my mother's problems was that the fact that he couldn't sleep at night. He was up all night. But it's not a problem now. Now when you get up at 3 a.m., there's so much stuff to do. I grab my phone.
There's always stuff to do.
I get emails from. It's the middle of the day in Israel. I get emails from Israel. I'm a little bit embarrassed to answer the emails at 3 a.m. because the next question from the people is going to be, "What are you doing up in the middle of the night?" So I kind of wait till like 5 a.m.
But
seems like a reasonable time.
There was always something to do.
What?
There was always something.
Sure, you could open up a Gemara and
you could also time how long it takes a bus to get around the block.
Well, not at night. You have to be in school.
I think it's even more interesting to do one at night. Anyways,
and you have to think of it to do that in the first place. You got to think of it.
You have to have a special mind to do that. This on Yeshiva World: Plain bread and water day of Teshuvah in Ponovezh, following the falling of a Sefer Torah. That's awful news. In the wake of a fall of a Sefer Torah on Shabbos morning, Yeshiva's Ponovezh, the Rosh Yeshiva established the day of Teshuvah and Hisayrus on Thursday, as outlined in a letter published in the Yeshiva on Tuesday morning. Bechadrei Charedim reported that prior to the publication of the letter, Rosh Yeshiva of Ponovezh, Hagba and Rav Gershon Edelstein, sent the Nasi of the Yeshiva, Hagba and Rav Eliezer Kahaneman, to the Paisik Hagba and Rav Moshe Shal Klein, asking about the opinion of the late Paisik Hadar, Hagba and Rav Shmuel Wasner. A lot of names. The letter signed by Hagba and Rav Edelstein, Hagba and Rav Baruch Dov Povarsky, and Hagba and Rav Kahaneman stated that it can't be said that the Bachrim should fast in the wake of the incident due to the Bittul Torah it would cause, and therefore they scheduled Thursday, the 12th of Teves, which is tomorrow, as a day of Teshuvah and Hisayrus. On this day, after Tefilas Mincha, the Chazan and his Bnei Yeshiva will say a Parakuf Yud Tes and Tehillim. All those who were in the base Medrash when the Sefer Torah fell are like those who saw a Sefer Torah falling, and therefore on this day they will eat only bread and water, without spreading anything on the bread or eating any other foods. All of this until Tzeitzek HaChavim, therefore not causing weakening of the limud. The Bachrim will accept upon themselves to be mechazik in the covet of the Sfarim, and therefore each Bachar will accept upon himself to return the Sfarim he learned from their place at the end of the Seder. He will try to take another 2 Sfarim that he didn't learn and return it to the bookshelf. It's very nice.
That's a very
beautiful.
interesting psak. Have you ever seen a Sefer Torah fall?
Baruch Hashem, I haven't.
I haven't. I saw one almost fall. They caught it.
You know what? If I chas v'shalom was ever in a place where it did fall, I kind of feel like I would just like.
What are the circumstances?
Sneak out,
jump
and
out
make
of
sure,
there, so you don't have to get stuck eating bread and water for a day. Is that your goal?
It's spooky. It's spooky. Seeing a Sefer Torah fall is like seeing an old person fall. It's scary.
What was the circumstances of the fall? It fell out of someoun's arms.
They didn't say.
They gave Hagba to some weak guy.
No, it's first of all. I'm sure it's embarrassing, but there was this story Yoel Gold told over. Rabbi Yoel Gold told over. There was a story that Rabbi Yoel Gold told over about someone who in Simchas Torah, he fell and he dropped the Sefer Torah, and the place was just like quiet, and everyone's like, Simchas Torah is the happiest day of the year, and we just dropped the Sefer Torah. What do we do now?
Yeah.
And they, everyone wants to see chalpshas, right? And they take that Sefer Torah and they go to the bima and they're opening it, and they saw that one of the letters in the Sefer Torah, it was chipped. It's puzzle.
Chipped, yeah.
The Sefer Torah was never good. It was never a kosher Sefer Torah, and they would have been using the Sefer Torah to lane hundreds of times, and it wasn't a kosher Sefer Torah. And this guy, meanwhile, was outside. He was crying. He was distraught. And they went to him and they were dancing with him. They said, "You didn't cause bittul.
It was a puzzle Sefer Torah.
It was a puzzle Sefer Torah. So what you did is you caused us to fix the Sefer Torah."
Very interesting.
So
interesting spin. I mean, we got laned yesterday downstairs.
Yeah, we did.
In our building, in my office, we have a Sefer Torah there that I bought many years ago. It's a used Sefer Torah. It was restored. It's very heavy.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
You have to give a strong person
Hagba.
You
Want to hear my hot take? I'll say it straight to the camera. When it comes to doing Hagba, you don't have to be strong. You just have to have good fundamentals. It's not about arm strength.
You want to give a demonstration of what the proper way to do Hagba is?
Okay.
Should I bring your Sefer Torah up?
You want
to bring your Sefer Torah up from downstairs?
You want to get the Sefer Torah? No, that's not covered. So you see, we have a table over here.
Okay.
And you have to. It's all on the knees. You can't.
The knees. You have to.
No. You can't try to lift it. Nissan, he does Hagba. He's way stronger than me, but he's very nervous about.
If you lift it straight up, you don't understand Hagba.
No, you can't.
You never were taught how to do
can't
Hagba.
just go like that.
Right. That's unless it's a tiny safer.
Unless it's tiny, then you can showboat. But what you need to do is got to use your knees. Let's bring it down. Yeah. Knees. Bend. Yeah. The more you bend, the more weird it looks. But bend a little bit and use your legs and lift it. And it doesn't matter how scrawny you are, you could do Hagba. That was a free tutorial on how to do Hagba. Don't be nervous the next time they say, "No, you Hagba," and you're like, "I am a string bean. What do you want me to do?" And some places have these tiny Sefer Torahs nowadays.
I think that's mostly the new Sefer Torah are small. Not tiny,
but they're more expensive.
Some of them are tiny.
They're more expensive.
Well, it's more difficult to write ones with tiny letters.
Yeah, no, I
totally be able to see them. And then, of course, there's the Chabad version of Hagba, which is different than most of the.
Which is more difficult.
And when I was there at Yisrael, I davened at a Sephardi minyan one day.
Oh my gosh! And that you need to be a bodybuilder for.
No, but that seems easier to pick up.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't require any knee or leverage action against the table.
Very interesting.
Much more, just different approach.
I'm not sure. You know what? Well, that's sort of. And winding down the episode for today, you had mentioned that Itamar Ben-Gvir was criticized by yet another member of UTJ for visiting the
Moshe Gafni. Also,
it sends the wrong message. It's halakhically not allowed for us to be visiting Temple Mount. Shouldn't have gone. It sends the wrong message.
There's two things going on, like I said yesterday.
So I'd say maybe politically, I understand what he's trying to do. Like politically, we should have the right to be there. Sure, but as a frum Jew, in which he is, he shouldn't have gone up.
Yeah, but his poskim allow him to go up, and there are very. I mean, I've looked only superficial observation, but I was in Eretz Yisrael last week. I told you I saw a line of people waiting for the Maghrabi gate to open to go up to the Har HaBayis. I don't want to judge people based on their outward appearance, but I saw, guys in, kapotas and black up hats and beard and payas ready to go up there. So I don't know what their cheshbon is.
Maybe they were going up there to do pidyon shvuin or something.
One of the things was said yesterday, the spokesperson for the State Department, Ned Price, said that he thinks that Ben-Gvir going to the Har HaBayis is going to lead to violence.
Okay.
Now
that's one way to ensure at least the violence.
That's not helpful. We don't need that kind of suggestion from the U.S. State Department. Anybody out there, in case you weren't thinking of it, how about violence?
I know, and it's interesting because there was one rocket fired from Gaza. It seems like they just needed to follow the advice.
Sure, wasn't a firecracker?
Yeah, they shot one rocket from Gaza and it landed in Gaza.
Okay, it probably ruined a couple of houses.
So it's like we don't want to start up with Israel right now, but we also don't want to make believe that we didn't heed the advice from the State Department that said it might cause violence. Anyways, that's our stories for today. I do want to mention something.
Yes.
Here at the Daily Thread, which is part of the Meaningful Minute family. Our mission is to spread light. Our mission is to speak about, good news and news that's happening that maybe isn't so good, but to present it to you with a Torah lens. It could be in the past we've strayed from that a little bit and have discussed topics that are, counter.
Not today.
Not today though. But that are a contradiction to what the goal is. But here at the Daily Thread, we vow to bring you those stories and those topics with as much possible the Torah perspective, based on us, we're not rabbanim, we're not gonna paskin, but we do research, we read what's written, and we try to bring the stories to you in a kosher way and with depth.
And there are differences of opinion, and I think one of the main challenges of Jewish life is the great diversity within Torah life, and we have to be able to respect one another.
Yeah, that's always key.
Not denigrate or resort to this new fangled way of doing things by canceling people, which is very distasteful and unnecessary, and it shows a lack of intelligence when you're just trying to, someone you don't agree with, you're just trying to hurt them some way.
Yeah, it's definitely strange. But anyways, we really appreciate you sticking with us here at the Daily Thread. Of course, we have so much more content for you. Make sure to sign up for our WhatsApp status. That is, the link is in the description, in the show notes. You can send us an email. We love hearing feedback from you. thedailythread@meaningfulminute.org. If you'd like a special happy birthday video from Abba over here.
Happy birthday video. If you want Naki to show up at your birthday party.
If you need help doing Hagba.
Naki, we talked about you showing up at birthday parties.
No, we didn't.
And
no, when did we talk about that?
Brachos and weddings.
When did we talk about that?
I mean, if you get into your schedule for the proper fee.
I don't go to weddings.
You can show up.
Maybe Nissan will go instead of me.
What about a smorgasbord?
I know you love a good smorgasbord. I'll send you. You can go.
No, I love a smorgasbord because usually my goal is to leave after the chuppah.
Okay, now everyone's going to be keeping an eye on you at their weddings.
Listen, you're not going to find me unless it's a family wedding. You're not going to find me after the chuppah.
Anyways, I'll tell you where you will find us. You'll find us tomorrow right here, same time, same place, the Daily Thread.
Same bad channel.
Yes, we'll see you there.